Hello, everybody. It feels a bit weird being here because, not being here at the conference, but standing up here because I studied here. So I'm used to sitting with you there, listening to lectures. But it's nonetheless a huge delight to be back at this university to which I personally owe a lot. So thank you very much for having me join you. 2 weeks ago, the European Central Bank decided upon a massive expansion of its stimulus programs and announced that it will start buying 60 billion euro of assets per month. It also indicated that it will continue doing so until the end of September 2016 and thereby pump an additional 1.1 trillion euro into financial markets. I believe this was a significant decision for the agenda that we're exploring here today. And I think it's one of many examples for the economic frameworks, the rules of the game in which we operate, that we need to pay much more attention to foster sustainability. Economic frameworks, the policies and regulations that shape our decisions as producers, consumers, and investors are, I fear, often neglected in the sustainability debate. Clearly, there is a lot that social entrepreneurs and enlightened business leaders can do. There is a business case for sustainability. There is overlap between long-term economic success and the environmental and social objectives that we're discussing here. And yes, I also believe that this overlap remains unexploited and should be exploited much more forcefully moving forward. But I also believe that we'd be doing a colossal mistake if we assumed that social entrepreneurs and enlightened business leaders alone can shoulder the full responsibility for moving us ahead fast and far enough on the sustainability track. If we believe that there is a business case for everything that we need to do, and if we believe that this overlap between business success and sustainability is complete, it is not. There are things that are profitable but not sustainable, and there are things that are needed from a sustainability perspective that have no business case. The overlap between business success and sustainability is not complete, and I'm convinced that if we want to expand it, we need to change economic policies and the underpinning models that we use to come up with these policies. And it's actually with this in mind that in 2012, we created the Council on Economic Policies as an economic policy think tank for sustainability with a focus on monetary, fiscal, and trade policy. And it's also with this in mind that I'm delighted to be part of the organization that Thomas Bieger mentioned earlier this morning when he referred to oikos, a student initiative that was actually established here in St.Gallen in 1987 with the objective to promote sustainability in economics and management, in teaching and research, and that continues to do so today with 40 chapters around the world. And it's also in this context that I'd like to take the opportunity to thank the Avina Foundation for its long-term tremendous support of both organizations. Neither CEP nor oikos could be where we are today. Thank you very much. Economic frameworks are designed and decided upon a wide range of policy fields. I believe the sustainability community needs to work on all of them. And clearly, fields such as climate policy, energy policy, health policy are very obviously linked to the issues that we care about and are also very much already on our agendas. But at the same time, there are other policy fields which do not carry a sustainability topic in their title and which are nonetheless, I believe, extremely relevant. And it's on these policy fields that I'd like to focus my remaining remarks with two cases and points from the areas of activities that we work on at CEP, namely monetary and fiscal policy. Monetary policy is at the heart of our economic frameworks. And yet, we rarely talk about it in sustainability debates. Monetary policy rarely hits our radar screen. In fact, when you Google monetary policy and sustainability, all you get worldwide are 14 hits. 14 hits for a policy field that determines interest rates and thereby a central price of our economic systems. 14 hits for the policy field here in Switzerland that recently decided to unpeg the Swiss franc from the euro. And 14 hits for a policy field that over the last couple of years has moved trillions of dollars into financial markets worldwide. I find this stunning. And I think that we urgently need to expand the group of practitioners and academics who work on this very topic with a sustainability perspective. The recent ECB decision that I alluded to earlier gives us further impetus and urgency to take this up. It commits Eurozone central banks to buy 60 billion euro of assets per month. This is a massive amount. In comparison, total investments into renewable energy in 2014, on average per month, amounted to 22 billion euro, and thus less than half of what the ECB will be buying on a monthly basis moving forward. And against this background, I find it striking how little debate we have on which assets the ECB will be buying. What are they investing their money into? Through which mechanisms? And certainly, there was a considerable debate about the decision by the ECB to invest a huge chunk of that money into government bonds. But there was practically no discussion about the question whether these government funds should go into the general government coffers or whether what we're currently looking at with quantitative easing in the Eurozone is a massive opportunity to fund green infrastructure across Europe. We also had practically no debate on the question into what private debt the ECB invests its money into. And let me give you one example on that. One of the instruments that the ECB over the last couple of months has already been buying are so-called asset-backed securities, including asset-backed securities based on car loans. These are car loans that are provided by commercial banks, which are securitized and then offloaded onto the balance sheet of the ECB. And the fact that commercial banks have that possibility already during the last month have led them to expand their loan portfolios for the car industry. Now, from a sustainability perspective, I believe such ECB support for the automotive industry should be of huge concern to us. But at the moment, it is not. The second area I want to talk about is fiscal policy. The area within government that decides how funds are raised and spent. Here in Switzerland, the total government budget across all three levels, cantonal, municipal, and federal, amounts to 200 billion Swiss francs. The largest part of that money is raised based on personal income taxes, as well as social security contributions. Many of us here in this room will be very much aware that this focus of our tax systems worldwide on income, on labor, is far from ideal from a sustainability perspective, and that energy and other environmental taxes should play a much larger role in government revenues. Many of us here will also be aware of the topic that Federal Counsel Leuthard raised this morning, the $500 billion in fossil fuel subsidies that governments worldwide spend on the industry. These are absolutely critical issues, important discussions, and we need further support to translate them into actual policy change. We also need further support to ensure that many other areas in the tax system are better aligned with a broad sustainability agenda. And let me just add 2 examples. Here in Switzerland, as in many other countries worldwide, homeowners are allowed to deduct the mortgage interest payments from their taxable income. Research shows that this leads taxpayers to take a bigger mortgage loan because it's profitable from a tax perspective, build a bigger house, and thus use more land. And we provide this incentive through the tax system at the same time as we are increasingly concerned here in Switzerland and elsewhere about land use, urban sprawl, and the loss of biodiversity. This makes little sense. Similarly, the tax systems worldwide also allow companies to deduct their interest payments from taxable profits. But they don't allow them to do that with the dividends which they pay out to their shareholders. Again, this is a weird incentive because it incentivizes companies to take on more debt compared to equity capital that they normally would without the tax system. Now, this may sound very technical to you, but if you think back to the disastrous effects that we've experienced over the last couple of years in the financial crisis, the disastrous effects of high leverages, of high debt levels, you will see that this is a very critical sustainability issue. Now, monetary policy and fiscal policy are 2 examples of the economic frameworks in which we operate, the rules of the game that we need to shape. Together with other areas, such as financial regulation and trade policy, there are also examples for the type of mainstream economic policy fields that we need to pay much more attention to from a sustainability perspective. In the corporate world, over the last 20 years, sustainability has become a cross-cutting objective that is relevant for all divisions and all functions. This is, I fear, unfortunately not the case for economic policy making. And if you listen to central banks, who still today say that price stability is the single objective that they should be focusing on, even though their legal mandates say something different, you will know what I'm talking about and see a very sobering illustration. We therefore urgently need, and I'm saying this with a particular emphasis towards the students and also the members of faculty, we urgently need more economists to take up these mainstream economic fields and make sustainability an integral part of them. We need more fiscal, monetary, trade, and financial experts for whom sustainability is not a fringe issue, but the core objective. And with a glance at the business leaders in the room, I also think we need more business leaders who ensure that corporate lobbying is aligned with a broad sustainability agenda. The debate on business and sustainability is today largely focused on processes, products, services, and business models, and thus on the things that we can do within current economic frameworks. I believe seizing these opportunities, of which we have many, within current economic frameworks is absolutely critical. But I also believe that we will never go ahead far and fast enough on the sustainability path unless we change the economic rules of the game. Thank you very much.